We have new birds that are also working efficiently in Mombasa. We have a railway network that has been expanded across the country. We have even in the other area of hospitals, for instance. The president did say how so many hospitals have been built in the last few years and equipped by his administration. Even the old hospitals, Honorable Speaker, we have seen a lot done in this sector. And perhaps that's why this country has been able to come out, even though we have not come out of the pandemic, we have largely been able to contain it. Honorable Speaker, there are many other issues like the green energy, that Kenya is now a leading country in Africa in the issue of green energy. And that, for me, is important, knowing that we have now been able to ensure that many people in our rural areas have been connected to electricity. And a lot still continues to be done. Honorable Speaker, even in the water sector, which is very, very important, we have seen a lot done across the country. And that was very welcome. Honorable Speaker, the other area for me that has stood out, I come from an agricultural constituency of Mathioya, where tea and coffee are very paramount. And we have seen in the last few years, the price of tea and coffee has now started to go up. Reasons because of the structural changes that have been made and to ensure that the farmer becomes very paramount, and to ensure that we can even be able to expand our buckets. And for this, we now see coffee almost at 100 shillings, and in some areas even more. Tea is already doing over 60% of what we were earning in the last few years, where it was declining. Honorable Speaker, the small and medium enterprises have also not been left out, and the injection of 5 billion as a seed capital for the SME credit guarantee schemes was also quite touching, because this is monies that now can be accessed by small SMEs, particularly those that are started by our youths. Honorable Speaker, we need to have this matter pronounced so that it can reach our youths in the rural area in a better way. Honorable Speaker, we did also see the president did say that his government and administration is enforcing the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. We have seen even a number of factories that were almost dead now being uplifted, so that they are now becoming very important sectors of our growth, like Kenya Meat Commission. But, and Honorable Speaker, I cannot end by saying the need for peace, the need for unity, the need for security in this country. It cannot be overemphasized by nothing else like than the handshake that we saw, that really brought tranquility in this country and helped us to stabilize the country, so that the growth that we would want to earn continues, even as we go to these elections.
Following the same list, the Honorable Kamoti Mwamkale, member for Rabai.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa nafasi hii. Nami nasimama kujiunga na wenzangu kumpongeza Rais kwa hotuba hii ambayo ni matakwa ya sheria kifungu namba 10 cha katiba yetu, kwamba Rais ametekeleza yale ambayo ameweza kuyatekeleza, na ni lazima yapelekwe kwa wananchi ama watu waambiwe kile kimefanyika. Kwanza, Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka nimpongeze Rais kwa yale aliyofanya kwa upande wa miundo msingi ndani ya nchi hii. Miundo msingi kimombo ikiwa ni infrastructure. Rais amejaribu, ingawaje kuna mengine ambayo akiyafanya atatekeleza ama atawacha wosia ulio kamili. Kwa mabandari, Rais amejaribu. Bandari ya Mombasa ameipanua vizuri na imebadilika sura. Pia ametupatia bandari mpya Lamu. Kitu ambacho tunamuomba Rais akamilishe wosia wake ni kuhakikisha kwamba bandari hizi zinanufaisha wakaazi ambao wanaizunguka ama wanazunguka bandari hizi. Sisi tukiwa wa Pwani, kilio chetu ni kwamba hata ijapokuwa bandari kazi zimehamishwa, mambo ambayo yalikuwa yakifanyika pale kama clearing and forwarding sasa zimeenda Naivasha, tunamuomba rais akamilishe wosia wake kwa kuhakikisha kwamba yale makazi yaliyokuwa yakifanywa ndani ya bandari ya Mombasa yanaendelea kufanywa na kutekelezwa pale. Katika muundo msingi pia ndio tunashukuru kwamba ameleta SGR, na SGR hii tunataka ipawe maagizo, isiwe tu ni mizigo yote ni lazima ifikishwe Naivasha hata kabla ishughulikiwe. Ahakikishe kwamba mizigo inayobebwa ni ile ambayo haihitajiki ama wenyewe hawatoki Mombasa. Kwa wale ambao wenyewe wanatoka Mombasa, mizigo ile iteremshiwe bandari ya Mombasa. Huko ndio kujivunia, tutajivunia, Wakenya watajivunia kwamba tuko na muundo msingi huu ambao unatunufaisha. Kwa upande wa mabarabara tunamshukuru rais. Ukienda Mombasa saa hizi, ukifika Kibarani, kazi inayoendelea, tuna imani kwamba hii ikimalizika Mombasa itakuwa imebadilika. Hata watu tukimpongeza Rais Kibaki, lakini ukweli wa mambo, ikija kwa mambo ya muundo msingi, hakuna kwa sasa hivi ambaye ametekeleza na amebadilisha miundo msingi kama Rais Uhuru. Ndani ya Rabai, sisi kama wakazi wa Rabai tunashukuru kwamba sasa hivi kuna barabara kutoka Jomvu mpaka kwa Mbaji inamalizika, barabara nzuri, na tuna imani kwamba hata ile ingine ya kutoka Ngutatu ama kutoka Bamburi kwenda Bondora pia itamalizika, na sisi wakazi wa Rabai tujivunie. Ingawaje tumekuwa na mapendekezo kwamba kuwe na barabara kutoka Bagamoyo mpaka Kibao Kiche, ambayo hiyo ingerahisisha mavuno ya wakazi kufika kule ambako yanatakana kufika. Pia vile vile tunampongeza rais kwa upande wa afya. Amejaribu, ingawaje yote ambayo aliyaeleza hapa yamefanyika Nairobi. Tunataka akitengeneza zahanati zingine hapa, aende Kisumu, aende Pwani, pia tuone zahanati zingine zikifanyika. Isiwe ndani ya Nairobi County na kwa majeshi peke yake. Hata wale wengine pia hawana mwingine wa kumwangalia, ni yeye. Na hasa upande wa linda mama, hii imegusa watu wengi. Sisi kama wabunge huwa tunafuatwa kila mtu anapokuwa mgonjwa, hata mama akienda kujifungua, lakini linda mama kweli imetupumzisha sisi kama wabunge, imepumzisha viongozi na inafanya kazi mzuri. Kwa hivyo tunapongeza na tunasema mgala muue na haki umpe. Jamani, hakuna aliyekamili. Aliyoyafanya Rais Kenyatta yamegusa wa Kenya. Tupende tusipende, ambayo si lugha mzuri, lakini mgala muue na haki mpe. Asante sana.
Following the same list, the Honorable Luyai Amisi. Luyai, this must be Caleb Amisi, isn't it? Luyai. You know, these are some of the names which are not known. He's also known as Luyai Amisi. Well, following the same list, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I also rise, Honorable Speaker, first to congratulate His Excellency the President on his possibly last or second last State of the Nation address, Honorable Speaker. However, Honorable Speaker, even as I appreciate many of the things that the President enumerated, and there are things that we cannot take away from the President in terms of his gains as President and the things, especially on infrastructural development, that he's been able to do. However, Mr. Speaker, we all appreciate, and Kenyans appreciate, that this has also come at a cost to the Kenyan people, especially in terms of the public debt that we have laid on the shoulders of the Kenyan people. To Honorable Speaker, this infrastructure development, Honorable Speaker, was to anchor development that would enable Kenyans to grow further in terms of economic development and be able to provide job opportunities for Kenyans that we have not been able to do that, especially post-2017, Honorable Speaker. And I cannot fail to mention, Honorable Speaker, that many of the things the President enumerated yesterday are things that he was able to do in his first term, 2013 to 2017. Post-2017 and 2018, Honorable Speaker, that is a story for another day, courtesy of what has been christened the handshake. And I know those who want to justify the handshake, Honorable Speaker, may argue differently, Honorable Speaker, but it's a fact of life that when we allow, Honorable Speaker, actions that people can use as a constitutional moment whose aspirations was by the political class, led by the President and his elder brother, the former Prime Minister, Honorable Speaker. And it has nothing, it had and still has nothing to do with the aspirations of the Kenyan people. Honorable Speaker, the fact that the President touched on matters to do with the economy, Honorable Speaker, and actually went ahead to claim that we are the 6th richest country in the sub-Saharan Africa, Honorable Speaker. Yes, it could be true. There could be a few Kenyans who would easily rank as among the, not the 6th, but the richest Africans in sub-Saharan Africa, and probably rank 6th as the richest 6th in the world. But those are just a very small fraction of Kenyans. The majority of Kenyans are living in abject poverty. The cost of living is at its highest, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we must also fault, Honorable Speaker, and I want to join those members who faulted the crafters of this speech for His Excellency the President, Honorable Speaker. It looks like there clearly are people in the office of the President and those who do his speeches who are intent on embarrassing the President. Not just writing for him a speech, Honorable Speaker, like himself he could not even be able to complete because of the length, but also a speech that factually was wrong. If you read clause 164 or 166 of that speech, Honorable Speaker, where the President mentioned the question of KMC, and I've heard the member for Isiolo mention that the offtake program, he has not even seen it in his constituency. And it begs the question, this offtake program, where is it happening? It could be in a few private ranches, Honorable Speaker, again, in the neighborhood of Isiolo and Samburu, and Kenyans may beg to know who are the owners of those private ranches, Honorable Speaker. The other question that he mentioned in that clause, Honorable Speaker, is the savings out of the outlet by KMC, and enumerated that they are now saving 30 million shillings, which translates to 3.6 billion. And the President emphasized 3.6 billion shillings in a year. And Honorable Speaker, a saving of 30 million shillings a year would only translate to 360 million shillings annually, not 3.6 billion. Therefore, I also want to plead with those who are eager to paint the President in a picture that he's not. As they write his speeches, Honorable Speaker, let them also be reasonable, let them be considerate, not to paint the President in a bad picture like they did yesterday, Honorable Speaker. And with that, Honorable Speaker, I want again to restate that that constitutional moment you are being told was by the political class, to benefit the political class, and the constitutional moment that will come for the people of Kenya. The people of Kenya will drive their own constitutional amendments that will benefit.
Following the list, the next is the last person on this list, which are the members who are present before 1 p.m. And who are on the queue is Honorable Robbie Nyamabe. Honorable Robbie Nyamabe. So from the list of 9 who had been on the queue, it's Odanga, Honorable Luyaya Misi, and Honorable Robbie, who are not present. So now, the next is, if you look at the motion on limitation of time, there was, you did approve that the chairman of Defense and Foreign Relations and the chairman of Labor. So the next chairman is the Honorable Mwadhi. And you have 10 minutes, not 5.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, allow me with all humility to first congratulate His Excellency the President for the speech that gave us the state of the nation in many sectors, in all-round summary of what he has been able to do. from 2013 to date, and specifically to enumerate what his government has continued to achieve and intends to achieve even before he finishes his term next year. Honorable Speaker, I speak on the issues of security, but most importantly, let me start by saying that in this country, I am lucky to have seen all the 4 presidents who have been here since independence. In my youth, the late Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, who died peacefully in his sleep. I also saw and experienced the leadership of the late Honorable Daniel T. Arap Moi. Honorable Speaker, I was here in this parliament when His Excellency Mwai Kibaki was here. And even now, I'm here, Honorable Speaker, when our dear President, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, is here. But let me say one thing that I've realized, and I don't know whether it is the nature of us or the nature of people generally, that other than the late President Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, who died in his sleep while in office, the rest, except Uhuru, has not left. That is Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. And when Kibaki was in power, people were always complaining. In fact, I remember during the inauguration of His Excellency Kibaki, people threw mud at the late President Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. Only a few days later and months to come and claim, you know, Moi's time he did work. Sometimes it's good to appreciate what is done. I was also in this parliament when one member then in 10th parliament stood and said that His Excellency President Kibaki was to be described as General Kugoya for whatever it means. Today, when I go across most of the parts in this country, I find people cherishing the times and the deeds of Honorable His Excellency Mwai Kibaki. I want to borrow from what I have seen in those 2 instances. And when I hear people throwing stones and talking about how the current president has not performed, and when I measure that, Honorable Speaker, against his own speech, which was written but is factual. Because, for starters, Honorable Speaker, when the president says he has done a dual carriageway from Machakos towards Rironi, which is in Limuru, it's a fact. It's not hearsay. Currently, as I go to Limuru, Honorable Speaker, I am using that dual carriageway. Honorable Speaker, before that dual carriageway came, land there, 1 acre was 10 million. As we are speaking now, 1 acre is 40 million. But I dare say that I heard some members asking, why should he talk about tarmac? Are we going to be cooking tarmac for our children? But I want to give them some insight that if you have property, please go and sell because the prices have gone up. Go and sell a small piece. You don't eat tarmac, you get food from that money. So, Honorable Speaker, just like the previous speaker has said, let us appreciate what has been done by the Honorable President. In the security sector, and in the sector that I oversight, Honorable Speaker, it's only in this term. I don't want to hear those people talking about 2013 to 2017 when I was not there, but I know they did something. But let me talk about what I know. That between 2017 and now, currently, we've been able to place 12,000 graduates on internship program. My own son is a product of that program. And immediately after, those graduates are either attached or taken or absorbed by government ministries. And this is one of the things that the youth are appreciating, that not only are they going to school, but there is one program which is properly crafted by the Jubilee government, led by none else but Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, which has thought about the youth, and that they are doing that internship not only to walk to the places of work, not only to go and work, but also to get a stipend of 25,000 shillings so that they're able to take care of their welfare. And that is a program that has been appreciated. Now, if we do not appreciate such deeds, and we start talking about the debt that we have. I'm just coming from a trip, Honorable Speaker. And I don't know which country in this world that does not have a trip. Members who are complaining about the debt, they've been coming here, and they've been asking that we need to allocate money for security roads. Now where do we get money when we have COVID-19 ravaging our economy? And then we also want roads, we want water, we want schools. We were quick to criticize, Honorable Speaker, that the president who is leading the government that has accumulated debt, which is not the only debt anyway, because by the time he came, we had also debt, is not performing. Honorable Speaker, let us say it for what it is, that the Honorable President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, only on Monday, and I was in that pass-out parade, presided over the recruits who graduated. We are having 5,000 police officers who will be guarding or giving us security during next year's general election. It's not that he doesn't want to go home. He says, my time will be up in August, but I want peace. I want peace for those people who will be going for elections, and that is why I'm putting this in place. Together with that, Honorable Speaker, I am sure that people know very well that he's been, and he said it yesterday, he's been taking care of the welfare of police officers in the manner that he has reviewed the remuneration, the benefits, the insurance, and so on, so that they are motivated. He has done hospitals. In fact, the other day, with my committee, we went to Kanyonyo, and I want to thank him because when we petitioned, we got 240 million for completion of that hospital. Because those police officers who are guarding our boundaries, our borders, have always suffered casualties. But all the time, they are taken to public hospitals where they don't probably get the important attention that they require because of the specialized nature of their work. But you go to Kanyonyo now, Honorable Speaker, the hospital is there for everybody to see. And not only that, on Monday, he was groundbreaking for another referral hospital in Bagathi. This is the president. They are saying it's not working. And I know he is working, especially, Honorable Speaker, after the handshake happened. We know before the president got together with the deputy, there was a lot of acrimony. And truth be told, there was a lot of acrimony between the two communities. And the president reached out. Some of us were wondering, because I remember during the 2010 Constitution, I was on the same side with the deputy president of no. And I came to learn I didn't know what I didn't know. I came to know something that I didn't know. When he reached out to the deputy president, and he said, we must forget what happened before, and we must soldier on. He went against our own thinking that he would go there. He brought him on board, and there was peace. And then I asked myself, when he goes for a handshake with the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, who is a Kenyan, why must some sections of Kenya start calling him Muganga? Why? Who is a Muganga? A Kenyan is a Kenyan, and we have all the same right. And he can be president. In fact, he will be the president. Because he is magnanimous enough to shelve all his ambition and come and hold the nation together. So, Honorable Speaker, I support what the president said. We are going to work as a nation. Let every Kenyan who thinks right like myself come and we build a nation, and we don't just build tribes and ethnic groups. That once we make a nation, we shall have our future generation proud.
Member for Teso North.
Thank you, Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for this chance. Honorable Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity to commend and thank His Excellency the President, Uhuru Kenyatta, for the speech and the State of Nation address he gave yesterday. Honorable Speaker, the State of Nation address, of course, which is mandated within the Constitution, Article 132, had a focus on areas which I would like to focus on the issue of values contained in Article 10. Honorable Speaker, some of the values that the report was addressing are values to deal with human dignity, values to deal with inclusivity, and values to deal with equity. And Honorable Speaker, I want to say in that address, the Excellency the President talked about infrastructure as a major component his government had done. Excellency, I want to confirm that as part of inclusivity and the issue of equity, Teso North, and generally the Teso community, which is generally regarded as marginalized, were considered in terms of infrastructure development. Since independence, Honorable Speaker, Teso did not have a single tarmac road other than the international road, the A104. But for the first time during this term, two major roads have been constructed by this government of His Excellency, the President, Uhuru Kenyatta. The road from Busia to Malaba is now complete, Honorable Speaker, and the road from Malaba to Kakemer. Honorable Speaker, I used to struggle driving. Sometimes you get stuck on the road. Today, I drive up to home, up to my house, which is in Kakemer. So we need to appreciate what the government has done. And in terms of the other aspect which I want to mention, Honorable Speaker, which His Excellency talked about, the issue of political stability and the issue of security, which my chairman of Administration and National Security has dealt with. Political stability is so important for this country. Honorable Speaker, the kind of illustrations His Excellency the President gave, indicating the ups and downs of this country during elections, clearly indicate that at a time whenever we have elections, we have lost a lot. 1992, 1997, and so on. And whenever we had unity and political stability, like 2002, we had a big leap in terms of economic development and even social development. Honorable Speaker, the issue of political stability behoves the leadership in this country. And I want to urge the leadership, us as leaders of this House and other political leaders, we actually need to be truthful and we need to embrace what brings our people together. Honorable Speaker, I want to conclude on the question of security, which the chairman has touched on. Honorable Speaker, for the first time, and His Excellency indicated, the country has gone beyond the UN standard of 1 to 450 police officers in terms of the standard required internationally. And that is courtesy of the recruitment of over 45,000 police officers to enhance security. Honorable Speaker, I want to once again commend His Excellency.
Member for Garissa Township.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me start by saying that the President came to this House yesterday in accordance with the Constitution, and more specifically Article 132, 1B. And this is the fruits of the 2010 Constitution. Mr. Speaker, as a former majority leader, there is absolutely no doubt that the government of President Uhuru Kenyatta, which I played a very key role, has many enormous achievements. Achievements in the infrastructure sector, achievement in the energy sector, achievement in terms of universal health care, and I mean the free maternity, achievement in making sure that for the first time, heavy investment were made since 2013 in our security sector. And that's why Kenya today is more safer than when President Uhuru Kenyatta took over. The investment in our intelligence, the investment in the equipment to our security forces, the investment in our military Kenya Defense Forces, and many, many others. Mr. Speaker, when President Uhuru Kibaki was leaving at the end of 2013, Kenya Revenue Authority was collecting 967 billion shilling. And when President Moi was leaving office, they were collecting annually 200 billion. And I'm sure 2020, Kenya Revenue Authority 1.7 trillion. So the achievement of this government and the footprints of this government are found in each and every village in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Whether it is connectivity to electricity, whether it is water, that is not disputed, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, as a legislature, we must say what government has done and what government has not done. Mr. Speaker, just on the onset, to remind this House, when President Moi was leaving, the annual collection was 200 billion. The GDP at that time was 1 trillion. And the debt that President Moi left for us was at 620 billion. And that was 60% of the GDP. At that time, our population was 33.7 million. Mr. Speaker, when President Kibaki took over, KRA, and by the time he was leaving office, KRA has collected 963 billion. And that is 380% from where President Moi left. Our GDP by then was 6.3 trillion. And that was above, I think, 545% from where President Moi left at 620 billion. But he also left us with a debt of 1.8 trillion. But he reduced, that was 30% of our GDP. Today, at 2020, President Uhuru Kenyatta and our administration raised the KRA annual collection to 1.7 trillion. That was 66% growth. Our GDP, Mr. Speaker, was at 2020 8.7 trillion, which is about 31.8%. But our debt, direct debt, was at 8.7, and indirect debt, which is the one that's given to parasitos, at 3.3 trillion. So as of today, we are standing at 11.7 trillion. The achievement of President Uhuru Kenyatta and his legacy, it's not for even him to write it. I saw the newspaper saying, my legacy. The legacy of President Uhuru Kenyatta will be said by the people of Kenya. It will be written by historians. And Mr. Speaker, the issue of corruption, the issue of debt, the issue of extrajudicial killing and disappearance of Kenyans are issues that I hope the President didn't touch. But again, I ask myself, maybe the ones that he didn't read, the speech was too big. Maybe that is where those issues were. But I support, and the achievement of President Uhuru Kenyatta is the achievement of the Deputy President. They are together, and we will use it for the campaign of 2022. You can't deny us. We are one. So those of us, what is good for Uhuru is good for William Ruto. So if you are from the handshake, you better look for your track record.
Member Vorangwe.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Interesting times, interesting happenings, interesting hearings that they are going to use it for 2022. But Honorable Speaker, I should think that the handshake has run away with it, because at the point where my senior Honorable Duale is talking about having been together, I think there has been quite a bit of mix-up. But I want to take this opportunity, Honorable Speaker, to thank the Honorable President Uhuru Kenyatta for his well-articulated speech, national address on what he has done over the years, over 8 years. And before I make contributions on what transpired yesterday, I want to take this specific chance, Honorable Speaker, to thank Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta as the President of the Republic of Kenya for the level of composure that he has shown as a president. Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, Honorable Speaker, is one president who has taken in so much. I should think that for the level of the things that we have seen in this country in the past, especially the last 4 years, where he does things and everyone wants to say that he's not done them. He works so hard and people want to just criticize what he's doing, but he's taken up his composure just to continue working, and he has worked, and he laid it bare yesterday on the floor of this House, Honorable Speaker. And among other things, what he was talking about, Honorable Speaker, are things which can be seen. I didn't hear anybody negate when he said, people would say that he has not done them. When Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, who is the fourth president of the Republic of Kenya, retires from his presidency, at least for heaven's sake, Kenyans will know, they will touch, they will have seen what an expressway is. Yes, we are catching up with the standards of Dubai, Honorable Speaker. So if there is only one single thing, other than affordable health care, other than improved food security, other than improved education in this country, I am looking for that particular specific day when it's going to take exactly 20 minutes to cover more than 40 kilometers in Nairobi. And when we improve infrastructure, Honorable Speaker, I think we go quiet a bit. So when a man does a good job, he expresses what he has done with a lot of ease. Even the way he was delivering his speech yesterday, I've never seen a very happy and a calm president. I've never seen Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta in his warmest condition. He was very relaxed, Honorable Speaker, because he knows he's done a good job. In the backdrop of distraction, in the backdrop of noise, in the backdrop of his not working, but he delivered his speech saying, this is what I have done in 10 years. And he was able to talk about what he has done to reform our security sector. Which is this country that can stay without improved security? He's talking about the welfare of our security organs. He was talking about what he has done in improving their life condition. And I want to make a special appeal to His Excellency, the Honorable President Uhuru Kenyatta, that Rangwe Sub-County does not have any police vehicles. Honorable Kenyatta, please, when you talk about infrastructure or improving the working conditions for police, my OCPD does not have a vehicle, my OCS does not have a vehicle, my DC does not have a vehicle. Please, the President, please kindly intervene on this matter. You did well, you've done well, we will support you. The handshake is there, it is there to live. My boss said we support you, and the word of Raila Amolo Odinga is law. When he says we follow. When you still want our support, Honorable President, we will give it to you. Take it up from there.
Member for Samburu, member for Samburu.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kunipatia nafasi hii niungane na wenzangu kumshukuru Rais wetu Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta kwa kazi ile amefanyia Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa ukweli Rais amemtaja area zote katika nchi hii ile amefanyia kazi. Mheshimiwa Spika, kila Mkenya ashaona kile Mheshimiwa Rais amefanya. Amefanya mengi katika Kenya hii akati yake. Na ni mzuri pia tujue kama Wakenya, akati alichukua president, alipata pia akiwa ngumu zaidi. Kwa sababu aliingia president akiwa ako heki, aliingia president akiwa security ilikuwa mbaya. Kwa hivyo miaka zile amefanyia kazi ni miaka 4 peke yake. Miaka 4 ile amefanyia kazi, kila Mkenya ashaona hali ya president amefanya. Mheshimiwa Spika, sisi wengine kama kaunti ya Samburu, miaka 50 sisi ilikuwa tukiteremka kuja Kenya, unasema nimefika Kenya. Hatukuona chochote wenzetu walikuwa wameona. Tumeona akati ya rais wetu Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Tumeona stima ile hajawahi kuonekana. Tumeona lami ile hajawahi kuonekana miaka 50. Tumeona title ile hatujawahi kuona miaka 50. Mheshimiwa Spika, Kenya imeona tofauti kama akati President Uhuru ako usukani. Mheshimiwa Spika, tunajua ametaja idara zote kama idara ya security, polisi, ametaja mahospitali, maofisa wetu wa Kenya wapate mahospitali kila pahali bila alitaja. Mheshimiwa Spika, sisi ndio tunaonanga officers wa serikali, mapolisi, majeshi akiwa wanaumia akati sa area sapita, akati wanapata idara, akati wanakufa, hakuna hospitali karibu ile anaweza pelekwa. Hiyo kitu yote Mheshimiwa Spika imegusa sisi roho kuona President Uhuru akati anaretire. Unajua ukiretire, huwezi kuretire kama umeenda kufa. Anaretire na baada ataangalia Kenya na macho mawili. Kwa sababu bado miaka yake ni kidogo sana, atakuwa akiangalia. Na pia atakuwa akiona kama Kenya imeenda vibaya, atarudisha pamoja. Mambo zingine Mheshimiwa Spika tumeonea. Mambo ya handshake Mheshimiwa Spika. Mimi ni moja nimetembea kaunti 47 kwa mambo ya handshake kutafuta mambo umoja wa Kenya ile alitutuma tutafute Mheshimiwa Spika. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, Wakenya waliongea na Wakenya wakasema maoni yao kile inaweza kuwekwa kwa sheria ile ipate kulinda Wakenya. Sio yeye alikuwa anatafuta kukataa kurudi ama yeye anataka kupandisha katiba. Wakenya ndio walikuwa wanataka mabadiliko na zile inahusu hawa Mheshimiwa Spika. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi ningependa pia kusema mambo ya BBI bado tunahitaji irudi kwa sababu ni ya Wakenya, sio ya mtu binafsi. Wakenya ndio walikuwa wametoa maoni yao. Na pia tunashukuru Raila Omolo Odinga kwa sababu kama sio handshake yake Mheshimiwa Spika, hatungefika hapa sahi. Kila mtu anajua, lakini ikiwa upeani usemi asanti, Mungu naye atapatia mtu asanti kile amefanyia wengine. Na tunasema Mungu alinde President Uhuru na aendelee na hiyo roho na ashikilie Kenya, hata kama ataenda retire, aendi kufa, atarudi tu. Na mimi nataka kuambia kama ilikuwa katiba ingepandilisha, tungesema arudi miaka ingine 5, Kenya ingeenda mbele. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika kwa hiyo, na ninashukuru na ninasema asante.
Member for Arienda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to contribute to this motion and state that this was a constitutional imperative well executed. So well executed, Mr. Speaker, that in addition to the 3 reports
that I'm required by the Constitution, the President gave an additional report on the business climate reforms. But in addition to that, beyond the 1 year that is required of the Constitution, the President took us through the 8 years of his presidency. That is beyond the call of duty under the Constitution. Mr. Speaker, the President covered 12 key areas. We all had them. But of interest to me, first is to the extent that it covered the issue of security, including security of the person, including security in terms of the 2022 elections, but also importantly, in terms of our territorial integrity. Mr. Speaker, the President didn't cover he covered the economy, the performance of the economy, the issue of utilities, water, electricity, and efforts that have been taken towards reduction of the cost. Perhaps in future, it would bear to note that it's important to also talk about the issue of unemployment, which has become quite rampant in our country. Mr. Speaker, the President also talked about infrastructure, and we must commend the President and this government that they have tried in terms of infrastructure, especially on roads, and especially on the railway line, the SGR, and also on issues of tertiary institutions, particularly TTIs. Even though in some instances, for example, in my constituency, the roads have stalled and the TTI has stalled, but we have petitioned. Further to that, Mr. Speaker, I think at some point, other than pointing out the development in terms of infrastructure, we will also have to focus on the equity and distribution of that infrastructure. The President didn't touch on, he touched on international relations and observed an observation I agree with, that it does not bode well to just close borders because COVID will invade us anyway. It is the practices that we observe internally. But more importantly was his favorite refrain, not an inch more, not an inch less. A refrain I fully agree with. In terms of Article 10, Madam Speaker, it covers national ethos, it covers national unity, it covers issues of inclusivity and equality. So those who fault the President for having talked about what could have been gained in the BBI document are forgetting that the Constitution requires the President to talk about the national values in Article 10. You cannot talk about the national values in Article 10 if you will not talk about sharing of power, if you will not talk about equality, if you will not talk about participation of the people. It was therefore a constitutional imperative that the President talks about these things. Whether you agree or not is a different matter. For my part, I agree with the fact that he spoke about them and with the manner in which he spoke about them. It should be remembered that when the President talks of a lost opportunity, it is not a lost opportunity for the President or for those who support him, for all of us in this country. And therefore, when the President says that the good ideas in BBI will be back, that is merely a prophecy. But it's a prophecy that must come to pass in two respects. One, although the Court of Appeal pronounced itself, the Court of Appeal did not pronounce itself on the substantive proposals in the BBI document. The Court of Appeal pronounced itself and focused on certain procedural issues. Those procedural issues can be addressed at any time. In any event, we cannot suppose that the Supreme Court, before whom the matter now lies, will agree with the Court of Appeal. The Supreme Court may as well set aside all the observations and orders of the Court of Appeal. Secondly, the pronouncement of the Court of Appeal cannot be a death knell to the ideas in the BBI. Ideas cannot die. Those ideas, in any event, whether we resurrect them before the next election or after the next elections, will come to pass. Lastly, Madam Speaker, as I wind up, I think that the speech was good, but it was a bit too long. Those who write the President's speech should make it a little shorter or have an abridged version and the long version. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Very well, and thank you, the member Ororienda. Allow me give now the floor, as per the request list, to the member for Sako, the Honorable Rasso Hali. The Honorable Rasso.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate the President for his address to the nation yesterday. in line with Constitution Article 132. From the onset, I want to recognize what I would consider to be positive, effective, and things that were achieved during his presidency, particularly in the area of electrification and connectivity. From my own experience as a legislator representing the constituency of Saku, we have many villages that today have electricity that hitherto were actually in the dark. Madam Speaker, the other area is on international obligation. I really want to congratulate the President for the ascendancy of Kenya to be a non-permanent member of United Nations Security Council. It was a watermark achievement that we are able to sit at the international level with big powers and make important decisions that affects the whole world. Madam Speaker, the engagement of KDF to take part in nation building, when you look at KMC, NMS, Kenya Railways, these are very significant achievements that we have gotten as a country by engaging KDF positively. And I think going forward, it is important for this country to understand the military is about discipline, it is about honor, and it is about patriotism. And this is what our men and women in uniform and the top brass within that institution have demonstrated. Going forward, what I advise His Excellency the President and the President who will come after him, who I strongly believe will be the hustlers, is to make sure that the top leadership of Kenya must attend a short course at the National Defense College to clearly understand what are the issues about Kenya. How are they, why is the military performing so well, and why is it the best institution in this country? Madam Speaker, there are areas that I really anticipated the President to talk about, particularly in the area of security. As one person who is representing a constituency that has had significant insecurity problems, particularly in terms of deployment of enough boots on the ground, enough officers to look around and combat bandits, to recover people's properties, to be able to pursue killers, then I think on this end, we as the people of Marsabit, and in particular Saku constituency, we expected a lot from the President. With those remarks, I just beg to support.
Very well. The member for Kwanza constituency, the representative of the people of Kwanza constituency, you have the floor, Honorable Wanyonyi Kevin.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I want to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency, the President, for all that he mentioned. Of course, it was not 100%. We are just reviewing, but I think he did what he could. I want to agree with my brother here, Molo, that the speech was a bit too long. I think we may have left out some things that were important or issues that Kenyans wanted to see. But that in all, I want to say that he has done well. I want particularly to talk about the mention of BBI. I signed for that BBI. And I think it's only fair that the Kenyans are given a chance to look at it again, review where we went wrong, review cases which actually were good, because we said in that one, and he said it yesterday, that the winner taking it all is an issue, because once you become the president, you do what you want. We want to spread out the power so that it can be able to have inclusivity in the leadership of this country. And therefore, I quite agree with him that they should be able to do something about it. And please, when it comes to this House, we will be there to support the review of the BBI. Secondly, Madam Speaker, he didn't talk so much about maize. The mainstay of the economy, mainstay of the food in this country is maize. I come from Tanzania, and I keenly waited. There was nothing mentioned of the maize. There's a mention of tea. Of course, we have done very well, and coffee. But tea, maize, which is a mainstay food in this country, was not mentioned. The farmers are so discouraged out there. Farmers are now not very keen. Given the climatical changes in this country, something should be done on the pricing of the maize and the inputs of the maize, which again, His Excellency the President did not mention. However, rural electrification he mentioned, I think he has done well, even in my own area, because with rural electrification, you're actually creating jobs for the youth. There are no jobs in this country, and therefore, I think we should actually, whoever is going to take leadership of this country, should take that as a very, very important area that we actually are looking forward to, so they can be able to create more jobs for our youth. Again, the infrastructure, of course, he has done very well in terms of the railways and what have you, highways. But in my own case, I have a problem, Madam Speaker. We did a road, and that road supposed to have been completed to connect with our neighboring states, Uganda, but it only went for about 11 kilometers and stopped. Today, there's nothing. From 2018 up to now, I don't even know who to go to. So I'm wondering whether this is actually a preference on the infrastructure, because I know for sure that some areas are getting roads, very high, the modern roads. And some of them are actually they're even constructing new roads. Why can't this country, why can't we have this network all over the country, and particularly in my area, where I think the road has stalled, and in this House, we said that constituencies that do not have tested tarmac should do that. That's exactly what happened. But the road now has stopped, and some areas, I'm afraid, I read, I hear, he mentioned that some areas, they are doing very well in terms of road network, but something should be done, because my roads actually were connecting the neighboring state, Uganda, which of course has a lot of influx into a country, and they bring a lot of businesses. So that again is something His Excellency the President missed. The last one I mentioned before, the devolution, this is health. Health, much as evolved function, it has not done very well. We have cases where, much as we have new machines that he mentioned, but go to any county hospital, there are no trucks. I think even workers are going on strike. Something should be done. Health should come back to the central government. With those few remarks, I want to say thank you, Your Excellency. You had a very good speech, but let's...
The member representing the people of Central Imenti, the Honorable Kirima Gushine. Member for Central Imenti, I have been informed that is consulting. Then we have the member for Daya, the Honorable Mugambi Gichuki. The member for Daya constituency, the Honorable Mugambi Gichuki. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for that opportunity. Madam Speaker, I want to congratulate the President for performing this great duty and obligation, constitutional obligation, with distinction. The State of the Nation address was delivered with precision. It was well detailed, and it did reflect nationalism and patriotism, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it's true, the President has done a lot for this country, he's been committed to ensuring that this nation moves forward in all aspects, economically, politically, and socially. Madam Speaker, it is true his legacy on infrastructure will go for many, many years unchallenged, Madam Speaker. That today we are able to connect almost everywhere in this country through tarmac, Madam Speaker. That today virtually every farmer is able to get his or her produce to the market without a problem, Madam Speaker, is a great credit to His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta. Madam Speaker, it is true he's done a lot in healthcare sector. And I want to say thank you on behalf of Othaya people, where the President has given us a level 6 hospital, Madam Speaker, and which he did mention yesterday. We know we've made a great milestone in healthcare, Madam Speaker. The number of hospitals the President has constructed actually is almost double than what we had since independence, Madam Speaker. And we know that this is great for Kenyans. And going forward, we are sure that we'll see less Kenyans traveling out of this country, going out there to look for healthcare services abroad, Madam Speaker. We know the President has also gone out of his way to even partner with countries with advanced medical personnel like Cuba to ensure that Kenyans can receive the best at home. We want to congratulate the President for going out of his way to do what not many people would do. Madam Speaker, we also would want have witnessed a lot of growth in agriculture, particularly his intervention on tea sector. Would want to laud it. It was timely, and we know going forward, our tea farmers will benefit from these interventions. Madam Speaker, we can't forget that at one time, milk prices had plummeted to the lows of 17 shillings. And today, at least the farmers are able to get good prices out of their milk production, Madam Speaker. We want to congratulate the President on the way he's dealt with crisis. I think during his tenure, we've had quite a number of crises. For those who can remember, we had this crisis of Al-Shabaab when he took over, and which he's really tried to deal with. And we know the country has witnessed some peace and safety, Madam Speaker. We've had locust inflation, which also disrupted agriculture in quite a number of many parts of this country. And again, he was able to deal with it. We've also had this COVID, Madam Speaker, and I would like to congratulate him on the way he steered, especially the economic sector, the banking sector. We know we've had a stable banking environment during a very difficult moment of COVID, Madam Speaker. I would also want to congratulate him on the social safety net that is rolled out for Kenyans during this difficult moment. And those who are saying that he's not been able to care for the less fortunate, they should just reflect on the social safety net that this country has had. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to support.
Very well. General Member for Mwingi West, Guna Gusia, Honorable.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
CNN.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given to me. Madam Speaker, let me take this opportunity indeed to congratulate our fourth President for the constitutional imperative he well executed and fulfilled yesterday. Madam Speaker, on behalf of people of Mwingi West, I salute our President for that. Madam Speaker, secondly, the President reminded us that epic things indeed can start with small, humble steps. The President, I liked his introductory part of his speech when he started reminding us how he started his life And for the first time, indeed, he had mixed fortunes of even failing parliamentary seat and eventually getting nominated and eventually becoming a cabinet minister and many other steps he went through. I don't want to deal much on that, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, on that note, I liked the part when he said we need to show empathy to each other when we are in August House. Mr. President served both as official opposition leader, so he was in this part I am seated now. Then the other time he served as in the government, and it is a good thing.
Which part are you the official?
I am in opposition, Madam Speaker, and through the NASA coalition, we are still the officially recognized opposition. And Madam Speaker, I'm proud of it because I know next year I will be in government straight without even hesitation. Madam Speaker, the President began the speech by actually looking at some of the issues of intervention during the COVID time. And let me take this opportunity to appreciate him.
Honorable member, there is an intervention. I don't know it is an intervention from the member from Katundu North? No. Okay. Just carry on.
Okay. Okay. Issues of COVID. We know his leadership has been dogged by many challenges. Health crisis, financial crisis because of the COVID-19. But Madam Speaker, the President has really tried, and I like the way he intervened during COVID crisis, 2020 and 2019 when it began. And we've seen so many measures taken by him and the Minister of Health, and that is why Kenya has not experienced a lot of death cases in terms of COVID cases compared to our neighboring countries and other countries, Madam Speaker. So that's a big plus for our President. Key things we appreciate its education sector. He has managed to do a lot of classrooms, which are actually going on. We've seen desk supplies. We've seen a lot of presidential bursaries helping our young kids, and we applaud him for that education sector. Health sector, Madam Speaker, 50 new level 3 hospitals directed to be built. Madam Speaker, we thank him, but we need to ensure there is equity in terms of the distribution of these health centers. So far, my constituency, I think I don't have even a level 3 hospital, Madam Speaker. And many other issues he highlighted: tourism, mitigation of deforestation, drought mitigation. He has done a lot in terms of water, ponds, earth dams, infrastructure, 10,000 kilometers of road. It's not a joke, Madam. But Madam Speaker, before I conclude this, I would like to remind the President, his lenkers in Ukambani, the road from Kibwezi, Kitui, Migwani, Bondoni Road. It is on the verge of stalling, Madam Speaker. So we need President to intervene that so that it can be completed before his end of his term. Madam Speaker, I liked the issue of electrification. Although we need to revise these facts, 90% of our schools are connected with national grid, but I want to disagree on that. I think
Member for Kajiado North, the Honorable Manche Wathigo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance to at least also say something on the presidential report on national values, international obligation, and national security. Madam Speaker, when I listened to the President yesterday, I got a feeling this is a man who knows the vision of the country. And actually a good CEO is somebody who knows where the entity is and where it is going. So I think, according to me, he has a clear vision of this particular country. One of a good president in any country is a a president who knows how to administer the country, somebody who has public persuasion, somebody who deals with the economy properly, and also somebody who knows how to deal with crises. Like the one we had, COVID-19, that has been a problem world over. He had managed to maneuver it through and come up with an economy that was still performing in the positive. Many other countries were performing in the negative, including the United States of America, but Kenya managed to get at least 3% growth rate, despite the fact that there was COVID. Madam Speaker, one of the fundamentals of trade in every country is transportation industry. And he had managed to construct railways, tunnels, bridges, airports, seaports. You can see them, Lamu, Mombasa, and elsewhere. By the way, no country that can develop without a good transportation system, and Kenya is toward that direction. He mentioned it took about 200 years for America to turn around. And what happened in those years, 1956, the then President of the United States did something fundamental that brought America where it is today. He created trans-state roads connecting all the states in the United States of America. He had a program of connecting all the states. And when you connect states the way the president is connecting counties and areas, you ease trade, because a country cannot develop without trade. Transportation and roads are the basics of movement of goods in a country, from one country to another, from state to state, from county to county, and also movement of people. Because if we have very good roads in the country, you will find that people will be working in one area and staying in a different area. And that's where we are heading to. If you come to Nairobi today and see the way it is coming up, especially with the Nairobi Express, despite the fact that now it is becoming like any other international capital, it will ease trade within these surrounding counties, which is the way to go. So I think he's a man who is in the right direction. And also making sure that Kenyans are properly educated. I think he gives about 25% of the budget to education, because you see, an educated country is as good as when you educate people and empower them, they can easily go to the other level. So I think he knows how to remove people from the poverty, and also the ICT infrastructure that he's coming up with. Kenya is one of the countries that is doing very well in ICT. And if we use that now to make sure that at least we push to the other side, I think we can go very fast. In Africa, I think we are the best. We are doing very well internationally. M-Pesa, you can transact business wherever you are, almost in the whole world. You can even pay your workers when you are in another country. So I think this is very good for our country. But having said that, we still have challenges that we need to deal with, like corruption that we have in the country. No country that has ever developed if it has corrupt officers. By the way, the 20 most poorest countries are the 20 most corrupt countries at the same time. So unless we fight this thing, we cannot get ourselves out of this poverty. And now that we are coming to an election, we have to make sure that we don't elect corrupt people in leadership, because that's what America did. If you continue electing poor people, then you will never claim this country. The other thing that we have to deal with is political parties. We have to establish good political parties in this country so that at least during that transition, we can transition it to good leadership. I support the report. Thank you very much.
Very well. The member for Rongai constituency, General Moi Kibruto.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to the President's address. Madam Speaker, the Article 132 of the Constitution mandates the President to address a joint sitting of Parliament once every year. And the 2021 State of the Nation address, Madam Speaker, was on the progress that Kenya has made in the social, in the economic fronts. And then also there was emphasis on the programs that had been put in place to mitigate some of those health issues that arose because of COVID-19, Madam Speaker. The address also, Madam Speaker, noted the physical measures that the government had put in place, both for the private and the public sector, in reducing the effects of the health pandemic. Also, some of the measures that the government did, Madam Speaker, was on issues of Kazi Mtani, an initiative to create employment for the youth, which would create a sustainable income for the youth, Madam Speaker. Other measures also taken to support the people and hence the economy was suspension of the CRB listing by the Central Bank of Kenya, so that these negative credit ratings, Madam Speaker, could damage small and medium enterprises. So the government did away with that. They also did automation of the land registry at the House, Madam Speaker. Also, the registration of businesses could be done electronically, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, government also adopted e-payments and electronic payments at the commercial division of the high courts, which would make it easier for people to transact. And even the small claims court at the high court, Madam Speaker, they were encouraged to resolve disputes within 60 days so that at least capital that was locked up in disputes would be freed up, Madam Speaker. The President also addressed the improved roads and rail networks, and of course through the allocation of massive resources, and other areas that the President also mentioned that had made marked improvement, Madam Speaker, are electricity connectivity and the electricity sector, Madam Speaker. On agriculture, Madam Speaker, the President noted the improved value addition in coffee and tea, and that, of course, would add to the GDP of this country. But it is important to note, Madam Speaker, that other subsectors need the same support and need the same allocation of resources so that we can become food sufficient, Madam Speaker. Currently, Madam Speaker, fertilizer prices in areas like Uasin Gishu and Trans Nzoia have hit the roof. DAP, Madam Speaker, now sells for 5,500 shillings, whereas 6 months ago they were selling for 3,000 shillings. CAN, which is also a fertilizer used to supply nitrogen to maize, is going for 3,300 shillings, Madam Speaker. It seems, Madam Speaker, that when it comes to agriculture, we concentrate too much on tea, on coffee, and then when it comes to maize, Madam Speaker, we concentrate on the consumers. We don't concentrate on we don't give focus to the producer, the farmer. I'm also a maize farmer, Madam Speaker, and I know that there's a lot of disappointment in places like Uasin Gishu right now, and Trans Nzoia also, because that emphasis has been put on producers and so forth, on consumers. The government should refocus. They should refocus and look at the farmers. Otherwise, we will be disappointed and go to engage in other activities, Madam Speaker. And a nation that cannot feed itself is a weak nation. You cannot depend on other people to feed you. And we cannot, as a government, you cannot be patronizing foreign farmers as opposed to looking at your own farmers. And the problem with this, Madam Speaker, is also, of course, the issue of corruption. Because we are approaching the election cycle, there are issues of importation of maize, and this is to the detriment of our farmers. So I would urge the government to refocus on our farmers and give them the necessary allocation to produce food, Madam Speaker. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Honorable Member for Kabondo Kaspul constituency, Honorable Bara Akinyi. Honorable.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I too appreciate the opportunity to contribute on the President.